And Ash and I are on the same time zone, right? It's 9 p.m.?
Yeah, 9:10, yeah.
Yeah. Rocking the whatever this time zone is called.
I think it's Greenwich Mean Time.
I was gonna say, are we the GM?
You're in the G to the M to the T.
Yeah.
GMT? Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we are, and welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. This is a very special crossover episode. This episode is the equivalent of bringing your camp friends home to meet your school friends. I love it.
That's a great analogy.
It's perfect.
We have my sisters, Lily and Becky, joined by Ash of Goldnerds fame, but also who I podcast with on Behind the Music for a very special TV-oriented episode. So I hope people have been watching their shows and are ready. But before we get into the show, I want to know how people are doing, because no one ever asks me. Lily, how you doing?
I'm good. Getting back in the groove in Spain, getting over that jet lag. I'm all right. Enjoying a beautiful September.
Very cool.
And we count down 7 days to my birthday.
Which means 8 days until I get to start planning my birthday.
Classic.
You might want to read in Ash on the background of Becky's endless birthday plans.
Right. But the rule in our house was that Becky couldn't start planning her birthday, which is in December, until at least I had my birthday. So the whole thing was like on October 1st, Becky could start planning her birthday extravaganza. Yeah. Good rules. So
that is a youngest child birthday if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And nothing overwhelmingly embarrassing happened to me at work this week, so it's good.
Right. No cockroaches or overly greased thighs. All right, that's good. Okay, Becky, how are you doing? I realize you might be in the middle of a medical emergency as we're starting today's program.
As we're starting, I may be concussed. I'm going to go ahead and just say I have a mild concussion, though I have not sought medical help for that.
Any reasonable physician.
No. I texted with my friend who has had concussions. And so I think based on...
That's like a step away from Googling concussion.
No, because I'm talking to someone with firsthand experience. And I think
that's
based
like
on our...
once removed.
I may have a concussion. We went surfing yesterday, and I swapped boards with Vlad, and I used his longboard, which is it's enormous and super heavy. And I get on the board, and everyone's joking. Vlad and our other friend who we're surfing with are joking around like, oh, it's a good thing no one's around because Becky's going to injure someone using this board. They were correct. I injured myself. I wiped out and cracked myself in the head with the board. And I may have a mild concussion. I'm not feeling so great. I'm a little out of it. But I will do my best. That's still, by the way, that's like my cover story for not being prepared this week.
I think then for our loyal listeners, that means that we should give you 45 minutes starting now to recount the entire movie Valerian. Because when you had a baby and you were out of it, that's what you did. That's
like the concussion, baby concussion.
Okay, and now I want to introduce our guest, a dear friend of mine who is really part of our Podern family, Ashley Miller, the extremely talented writer, comedian, improviser, and TV expert, knows more about the television world than anyone I've ever met. Ash, welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you. I don't really think I can live up to that introduction, though, but thanks.
How is your day in the UK today?
It's great. The Bills have just won their first game of the season, 27-6. I'm feeling great. So.
What makes you enamored with the Buffalo Bills?
Well, I grew up in Niagara Falls, and my brother-in-law is from Niagara Falls, New York, so kind of anybody in that area just roots for them. But my brother-in-law is like a diehard Bills fan, and he's been in my life forever. So
that's good enough for me.
And Ash, like us, shares the Canadian upbringing, so she'll get my references to Canadian television shows and things like that. So
yes.
So we're speaking on even ground here. So Ash, one of the things that brought us together, although now that we know each other well, there are so many things that could have brought us together. But the first and foremost thing is our mutual love of the Goldbergs, which you share also with the rest of the show. And anyone who knows us knows we're huge fans. So I just want to peel that apart a little bit and understand from you, why should people listening to this podcast check out the Goldbergs if they aren't already watching it?
Because it's pretty much the one of the funniest shows on television, and definitely one of the funniest in the last decade.
My husband asked me today, he was like, but do people who aren't Jewish find it funny? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And then I was
it's more like people who don't have 80s references.
Right.
Like
I was like, I think it's more about the 80s and being Jewish. I'm like, of course there's some Jewish like jokes in it, but they're pretty like
common. You know them. Yeah.
They're basic. Like, you know, everybody kind of gets those like, I assume people know what Hanukkah is. So, you know, they've heard of it. So like, that's like the main joke. Other than that, I was like, I think it's more about the 80s. But then I was like, you know what? I actually don't know that for sure. So I'll ask. But yeah, I guess everybody, like, it's not just a niche show. It's
no.
And Ash, Lily checked this beforehand. You are not, in fact, Jewish.
I am not. No.
Quite anomalous for most of our guests.
Also, Miller is a last name that can go either way. So
that could easily have been one of my campers at camp.
And I know a bunch of Jewish Ashleys. So there you have it.
Are you sure, Ashley?
No,
is what we're
I
saying?
was just going to say, because like on my mom's side, we don't know anything about her parents. We actually think she could have been Jewish, like an Italian Jew, like fleeing, because like there's no records of like my grandparents on my mother's side getting married. There's like, we know nothing about them. They died when like my mom and my aunt and that were really young. So possibly,
you could do a DNA test.
With who?
With not to
what
like.
Do we do it?
Oh, we're not sponsored by these people, although we could be.
No, I definitely. And by the way, Ash, I definitely did not do I did not send my DNA to some.
Because yours is going to come back 98% Ashkenazi. You don't need to do it, Shai. You know what yours is.
But we've seen your face, Shai.
Like,
your face is the DNA test. I don't think I wrote that joke. It's a great joke, but isn't that? I think that's an Andy Samberg joke or something. I want to believe that I made that up, but I'm not sure.
I was going to say, just go with the fact that you made it up, because it doesn't ring a bell with me, so I think it's funny.
Good. What is it? Is it like 23andMe, or is that a Tinder app?
No, we did Ancestry.
Oh,
we did
I get what you're saying.
We did like Ancestry.com or one of those like Mormon ones where they keep everybody's data.
I feel I'm scared to do those things because I'm scared it like falls into the hands of like Scientology or something.
Well, you definitely they're Mormons, I think, and I think you definitely can give them permission to experiment with your DNA. You can say no. Like, there's a box that you check. Do you give them permission to
know that I've done other DNA tests and have given science permission to like use my DNA as they want?
Good for you.
Because I believe that like that's how we're going to advance medicine.
Like,
it's just by your ear could be growing on the side of like a rat right now. And
like it could be. Someone could be cloning.
You've got good ears, though.
In Becky's case, maybe they're using the DNA to cure hangriness.
I'm not in the mood today, Shai. I'm not in a mood. I don't have patience for.
Okay. Well, with all that being said, one thing that Ash has organized before, and I have helped marginally in this, but she has done this many times, is rallied an entire fan base known as the Goldnerds, behind an actual Emmy campaign for a television show for the Goldbergs and its actors to all win Emmys, which is frankly bigger and on par with what major studios would do for their television shows. So as before we talk about the Emmys, which is going to be one of our big topics today, Ash, how do you come up with an Emmy campaign? What are the things that you're trying to do with that, and how do they work in general?
Well, I mean, ours is just like a grassroots one. I mean, obviously the studios, like Sony, for instance, that makes the Goldbergs, if they did their job properly, would get billboards and like magazine ads and Variety and all the trades.
Why do you think they don't?
They're just cheap. I'm not even. That's my honest answer.
I guess they're just like we're popular regardless if we win the Emmys or not. We don't care.
Well, they did a massive push in like the second year for it. They actually put ads and stuff like that out. but then they obviously didn't get nominated because like Emmy voters are snobs. So Sony's just gone, well, we don't really care, and just like
they're snobs. But then I guess we'll get into it later. Some of the trash shows that win year after year.
They're snobs. It just like it just doesn't.
I think they're just lazy. They're like,
you've hit it right on the head, right there. They're lazy.
So could you? I thought this year's Emmy campaign was one of the gutsiest ever, and
oh yeah, I thought it was great. You did a great job. And they should be ashamed of themselves.
And I believe it also was like filled with one of the main themes and one of the best elements of the Goldbergs is the weekly bev bombs. Also, is the cursing that get bleeped out, and you really embraced that in all of in all of the episodes. Now this is an explicit podcast, so you can repeat your things if you want to without a bleep.
Okay, cool, great. I'll keep that in mind for my rants later. Yeah, well, I mean. Joe, who helps me run Goldnerds, which you obviously know, Shy, you know Joe. We've done Emmy campaigns like for the past 5 seasons, and well, obviously nothing's come of it. So this year we were just like, why are we bothering like targeting the Emmy people? Let's just do an Emmy campaign for us. So this was kind of like what we call like the Goldnerds like eat shit campaign, like you know what I mean? Like
right, you're like, well, like I'm gonna go down swinging.
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
not. Yeah.
If you don't give a shit about us, we're just gonna throw this out here now. So, that's basically how it came about. It was Joe's idea, and the first one I came up with is the one for Wendi. I think it was like showering or something, which is where all my ideas come from mostly when I'm in the shower. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm running with this. We're just gonna plaster this everywhere. And I ended up sending it to Adam, and he loved it because I was like a bit nervous, obviously, with it being like quite edgy. In terms of like getting in your face. So I sent them to Adam and I was like, is this okay? And he was like, I love it. Just go with it. I was like, okay. So yeah.
That's awesome that his attitude is well, like whatever.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
So cool. All right. So now we've flirted with the edge of the Emmys. Now there was this year's Emmys, which I'm maybe sure 2 out of 4 of us or 1 out of 4 of us actually watched, but it doesn't mean we can't comment on them because all of the clips are shown nonstop for 24 hours afterwards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
I haven't seen all the acceptance speeches. I want to, but that's the only part that I'll watch.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm going to be completely honest.
Really?
I don't. Well, because I don't get it. There's nowhere for me to see the whole thing live. Last year I was in the States.
Ash can probably help you with that. Her knowledge.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Watching the dark web in Europe.
I don't have that. Like, when I was in the States last year when it aired and it was in real time and it was at like in the evening, I watched it. Like, I'm not insane. Like, I obviously watched it. It was on TV. However, being home and it being like the timing super off and being honest, hosts I don't really care about.
Exactly.
People there, so I was just like, whatever. Then I just caught the acceptance speeches. I'll do like my going through the acceptance speeches watching of it, but I don't need to hear all the like bits.
So Ash, there's a game that we play. We have various variations of it. It's called Buy, Rent, or Meh. And it's essentially the official podcast rating system of this podcast.
And I love it.
You either buy, you rant, or meh. And meh can take on a lot of different characteristics based on the way you say it. So if you say meh, that might be one thing. You might say meh, and it's terrible. So one of my sisters, I don't know which one proposed it, but there was, I guess, a wedding proposal that went down on this particular Emmys. Was someone...
There was.
So... just quickly, let's go around. Buy, rent, or meh, the wedding proposal. You can give an explanation or not.
My instinct is meh, even though I know it was very popular.
I feel like Lily would have to say bye because you love romantic moments. Big declarations of love.
But
okay,
like ahead. You wasted your acceptance speech. Like,
disagree that that's a waste. I would think that's a great waste.
You can propose at a pizzeria. You cannot thank the entire world for like your accomplishment in your career at a pizzeria. So like, no. You made it all like, dude, Becky, you make it to the Oscars, you win an Oscar, and you turn around and you propose to Vlad. I get up there and I smack you.
See, but you have to keep things in perspective. One, it's an Emmy, not an Oscar, and the Oscars are also trash. Two, they're all trash. All these things are trash. 1, 2. he won for directing the Oscars. He didn't let's keep it in perspective what he won, what his category was. He wasn't writing, his memoir into a script and then directing it, and it was his moment to shine as a
He knows those are directed terribly. So he knows he doesn't deserve it.
And chances are he's probably won about 6 times anyways, because the Oscars always wins live directing. So
and next year he'll win to do a handstand. You're right. He is just
he'll bring his newborn baby in or something.
My instinct is to buy it because so much of these award shows are obviously about the celebrities and the celebrity factor. And here's this guy that no one knows who he is. And so I thought it was kind of funny. Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny to have a moment that was trying to shine. Yeah. So for me, it was it was funny because no one knows who he is.
Okay, over to Ash. Buy, rent, or meh a wedding proposal at the
I will say rent, only because it was about the only noteworthy thing that happened at the Emmys. So, yeah. There you go.
Okay, all right. Now let's get into the actual substance of this. We'll do a round.
Wait, just quickly, did you guys like the hosts? Were they good? I didn't even watch any of it.
No, they're not even good on their day jobs, so I don't know why they got it.
I don't understand why they got.
I would propose my own TV theory, but I would love Ash's weigh in on this since you follow this stuff more closely. Lorne Michaels basically programs every night of NBC at this point, right? He is the producer. So, and as far as I can tell, the various award shows only put their own properties in to host things now to be commercials for their other stuff. So I'm guessing this was just a commercial for Saturday
Night Live.
Yeah. I mean, the Emmys rotate networks. I can't remember who they are on. I think they might be on CBS next year. So obviously it'll be CBS hosts or, something equivalent.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's a very fair theory.
So,
but they have nobody else? Jeez.
I mean...
they do. They have, Seth Meyers.
They had Colbert last year. They had Colbert, right?
Colbert's CBS.
He's CBS. They're not going to have him on an NBC telecast.
Right. But they have a bench on NBC that is not those two guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're terrible on Update, so whatever.
Okay.
Good to know. Okay, keep going.
All right, so now awards. I'm just going to pick, because again, there's a bunch of us and we want to get it all in. Everyone pick one surprise, one disappointment. Who wants to go first? I didn't really think through who should go first, but...
I have to see who people were. Okay, I have to see their whole category.
Well, I can say my disappointment. My surprise, I guess Henry Winkler and Bill Hader are my surprise. I'm surprised
because that show's so new.
No, and just because the people they were up against, I feel like they had tough competition with Donald Glover, Anthony Anderson, William H. Macy, Ted Danson, Larry David. For Bill Hader, I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. Sure, he's great, but. I'm not that invested in that. I'm just surprised. Same with, and I'm super happy for Henry Winkler. I am extremely disappointed. I cannot. The words are just, Tatiana.
Oh, that was my disappointment.
She can't be nominated and not win. And Sandra Oh is awesome.
Carey Russell. She won before.
She only won once before. And she should have won every time.
Who beat her this time?
Someone
Claire
who played
from
someone...
The Crown.
Yeah.
Someone who played Queen Elizabeth again.
And Emily? Is it Emily someone? I don't even know. I didn't watch The Crown. That's it.
Claire Foy. And who I would have maybe cared who beat her? Sandra Oh, Carey Russell. I have a super major crush on Carey Russell, and Sandra Oh was great.
The Americans is amazing.
Yeah. I think she's brilliant in The Americans, but no, Tatiana, and this was her last chance because the show's over, but she blows all those ladies out of the water. So I was disappointed. Okay. So that was my answer.
At least she has an award, though.
That's true.
Thank God. Please. I then would have to boycott the show. So she won.
Welcome to my world.
It's such infuriating because it's I don't know how to. So I was trying to think of an analogy in the car just now, and I was coming home, and I was like, is it sort of like you're as a frenemy, where you hate it but you can't not get together and gossip? You need to watch, but you hate them the entire time. So,
you just feel filthy afterwards.
Yes, exactly. Why do I keep going back?
Exactly. It's a really bad drug habit.
Yeah.
All right, Ash, how about you? Disappointment and surprise.
surprise, I'll agree with Hader. I think he was kind of a surprise, but kind of not, only because it's a very like insider industry show. So like the fucking voters love that crap. You know, it's a great show. Barry's a great show. It's so inside Hollywood. They love it. But my biggest probably surprise would probably be Miss Maisel, how it dominated. And I'm so happy because A, it's a great show. And 2, Amy Sherman Palladino should have had an Emmy in her hand numerous times for the Gilmore Girls and never did. So winner there.
Yeah, I agree with that analysis.
And my disappointment would probably be Blackish getting shut out yet again.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great show.
Yeah, so I would say, well, first of all, I might be the only person. I'm not the only person who really only likes Alex Bornstein on Miss Maisel. And the rest of it is not a show I like.
She was excellent and
I love the whole show, so I'm very happy.
But I can't say...
I thought she deserved it. I don't think what's her name did, necessarily.
I can't say I was surprised about that show winning or dominating because again, I think it's almost like too much hype. Like when I see the shows that it was up against, to me, Glow, which maybe doesn't have the weight of Maisel, to me, Glow is terrific, and I love the second season, so I would have probably rooted for that over... there's a lot of shows I would have rooted for over Miss Maisel. How about that? But anyways, I would say my big surprise was Henry Winkler because I didn't really realize that he was nominated. Number one, I thought Barry was too recent. I thought it was too recent. Me too. But also the way I found out was the absolute explosion on social media with people who were so thrilled for him, including this gentleman named Vernon Reid, who is the guitar player for Living Colour. Do you guys remember that band from the 90s? Mm-hmm. And he wrote like a very heartfelt thing about Henry Winkler bringing tears to his eyes, having an Emmy. And that's how I realized Henry Winkler won an Emmy. So for me, that was my big surprise that this like legend of metal guitar was like, I love Henry Winkler. So that was cool. Okay.
Wait, no, I got a couple things to add. I never really got to go.
Oh, I thought you said you agreed and you were...
Oh, no, I just in general agreed with Ash's assessment, but I want to add a surprise. I'm surprised that did you guys watch Godless? It was that Netflix series that there were Merritt Wever and Jeff Daniels won for Godless. Here's the thing. I love both of them. I love Merritt Wever. She also won when she was on Nurse Jackie. I think she's amazing. I'm like so excited. Amazing. And I'm so excited that she's being recognized for how good she is because I feel like she can really just fly under the radar. But I'm just surprised because, like, who the hell watched that show? It was so boring. I could not.
But that's like what Ash is saying. It's like these like insider shows that only the people who vote for this watch.
I don't feel like Merritt Wever is like an insider in Hollywood at all. Like I totally feel like she's this amazing actress.
Oh, but Daniels probably is.
Sure, it just seems like. But I got to tell you, I love her, and I was so excited. This idea of like a female-driven Western. I was like, I couldn't stay awake. I couldn't even watch the second episode. It was so anyways. So that was kind of surprising to me. I'm like, yay, I love her. I'm so happy she won. Why for this show? But I guess maybe
like, watch they're making amends for like not giving it for like giving her more accolades during like Nurse Jackie or something like that. Like I think the Emmys are just constantly trying to make amends, like catch up with who they should have honored.
Right.
Right. They're like a good 3 years behind.
Oh, that's very generous. I was thinking at least a decade.
Oh okay.
So speaking of this era, Ash and I were texting back and forth earlier about this era of peak TV, which is not even a term I like. I've realized I think I just don't like that term because I think TV's been great at lots of times. I love watching TV my whole life. But one of the networks to usher in peak TV, quote unquote, was HBO.
HBO, yeah.
But I feel I am questioning the powerhouse at HBO still. Maybe they are losing ground, but I look at the list of the shows. Game of Thrones, okay.
So they are flailing after Game of Thrones.
They're
pissing themselves. Well, they don't know what to do.
They are doing well. I feel like they're doing really well with half-hour comedies. They're just not doing well with dramas right now. they don't have a great hour-long drama that's going to anchor them after Game of Thrones ends.
Well, they have Big Little Lies too, which is why they had to do
sure,
it. They had to do a second season.
That's not going to go on for 7 seasons.
No, and they had to do a second season because they were like flailing.
Wait, is Big Little Lies on HBO? I don't think it is. It is.
I found Godless boring. Westworld? No, I don't want to go back into that
Westworld
again.
was terrible.
Westworld to me, like, I would love to be in that room because Westworld to me was just like, it's like when you make a really good soup or something and then you try it but without following a recipe and it just happened to work out well. Or you're following a recipe and then you lost the book halfway through, have somebody else come over, finish cooking it, and it comes out really well. And then you're like, let's make this again. But then everybody, like there's no way to recreate it and everybody's just confused and nobody knows how to tell the person next to them. They're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's what Westworld is. Like there's somebody being like, oh, wow, this is a great story for the show, whatever. And there's like some poor guy in that writer's room being like, I have no idea what's going on. That's what that show is. And it's
that is the perfect analogy for that show.
Nobody. Oh, and like it's HBO and it's their second show after Game of Thrones, like their big budget, whatever. There's like finally somebody's gonna. It's like the Emperor has no clothes, right? Somebody's gonna. Shit makes no sense.
So, Ash, do you have an HBO show that you think is killing it? Do you think it's the end of their era? Do you think they've got anything on the horizon?
Yeah, they'll have something on the horizon. Just
has anybody seen Sharp Objects? Like, is Amy Adams? That could maybe be.
I haven't, but I've heard good things.
I've heard good things, but it's really dark, and it did.
It's not going to be their Game of Thrones.
No, sure. I think it's also just like a limited series thing. They don't have something that's gearing up to be, a major multi-season powerhouse.
So
yeah, but it's really hard to predict those things. So
that is true. I would say Game of Thrones. If you had told me that a basically R-rated Lord of the Rings was going to be universally acclaimed.
Based on a set of books that had not been written.
And still haven't been written.
Right, still haven't been written.
I would have been pretty surprised. I'm still pretty surprised Game of Thrones has the momentum. I actually think HBO is wise to stick a fork in it at this point so they can I don't like the second part of the plan, which is clearly make cheaper spin-offs. But I think.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, they're doing like a prequel and a sidequel and I don't know, maybe.
Oh, right, they are doing a prequel about like the tree people or whatever.
Exactly. We're gonna watch just a whole show.
Oh, those like
the
nymphs.
Whatever they are.
I feel like
So one of the mysterious questions I have about the Emmys, and I'm going to turn to Ash for this explanation, which is how do they define a comedy? Because it seems that some shows. I would say
somebody blindfolded.
Some shows slip
their finger around.
Slip in as a comedy when maybe they aren't a comedy or they're a drama or not.
Well, that happened to Orange Is the New Black. First,
they chose to do that.
It's
right. They
switched
their category.
I remember this from when I worked on Nurse Jackie. It's length, because comedies are typically 30 minutes or half-hour episodes, and dramas are hour-long episodes. So if you're 30 minutes and let's say maybe you're a show like Barry that's really kind of dark, you're going to default to comedy because you're 30 minutes. And then, that's
actually a recent rule, though. That rule only came into play about 2 years ago because Orange Is the New Black kicked off all this, like, what is a comedy, what is a drama situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you laugh out loud at it, it's a comedy. Like, I love Donald Glover. I love Atlanta. It is not a comedy.
I agree. I completely agree with you. That show is not a comedy. There's funny elements to it.
And but there's funny elements in like Breaking Bad. Does that make that a comedy?
Exactly. But I completely agree. Like, I would not say Atlanta is a comedy. I'd say there's things about it that are, really good. That are good commentary on society that make you scratch your head and kind of laugh to yourself. But you're not laughing when you watch it.
You're not doubled over and laughing.
Right.
Yeah. It's the same with like Transparent when that was like dominating. That was not a comedy either. It was just like you said, it happened to be the 30-minute
But this has been like, and that's been the problem is that generally when they're submitting to categories, it's like, oh, you're 30 minutes, you're a comedy, you're an hour, you're a drama. So.
Yeah.
is there a way they can break out of that? Like, could someone just one day submit their half-hour show for a drama?
Yeah,
you can submit in either category. And like, if you're a half-hour, say drama, like true drama, you could submit in the drama category. And if the Emmy committee goes, we don't think you should be in this category, the producers can go and say, look, we are, and here's why. Like, basically go on like a panel and say, this is why we're a drama. Or if you're an hour-long comedy, like Jane the Virgin would have been an hour-long comedy, and they would have had to petition to get into the comedy category.
And Orange is the New Black switched their category from one year to the next.
They're the ones that started all this. So them and Shameless have ruined the Emmy voting system for me.
Wait, which one did Shameless start at, and then did it start as a comedy and to drama?
They both started in drama.
Then moved to comedy?
Yeah, and then after the second year of Orange is the New Black, I mean, Shameless had been on for like at least 3 years.
But do you think Orange is the New Black is really a comedy?
No, Orange is the New Black, I think it was the other way. I feel like they started in comedy and switched to drama.
No. They started in drama. Yep, they started in drama, got nothing, and went, oh, we've got funny elements. Because they had that chicken episode, like where it was like they were running around the yard chasing a chicken. And they're like, we're a comedy now. Like, you're not a comedy.
But you agree that show's a drama.
Oh, that's definitely a drama. Again, it's like Breaking Bad. Like Breaking Bad had Saul. He was funny. He was the comedic relief, but it doesn't make Breaking Bad a comedy. Like, is Better Call Saul a comedy? No.
This is a very good point. I feel like a more important question is, Shai, are you heartbroken that Yvonne Strahovski did not win her category?
No. So here's my thing with Yvonne Strahovski, who I love, and I wish had gotten to fight a predator in The Predator, not just escape one. Which you don't even know until the epilogue when they talk about her, but they clearly didn't have enough money to bring her back for a final scene. I really don't want anything to do with Handmaid's Tale. I know it's probably a masterpiece or something, but number one, I don't know. I don't want anything.
Some people say, but I don't feel like watching something that depressing.
I don't want anything to do with it, and it has Elizabeth Moss, who might be a really nice person. But she is the actress actress, whatever gender, that I like the least in the universe. I can't I saw her even on I saw her even perform on Broadway once. So it's not like I haven't.
You did?
You asked for your money back.
Well, no, I couldn't.
Like, I didn't know she was in this.
No,
I'm leaving.
Everyone was like, the person from Mad Men is in this. I'm like, ooh, cool. I'm like, oh no. Anyways,
not this one.
So if for me, anything that involves The Handmaid's Tale being shut out is perfectly fine. Also, because I want Yvonne Strahovski to be a super big famous star, but just the right amount that she'll come back and do a Chuck movie. So I need the stars. You
don't need her to be famous.
So I need the stars to align.
You don't mind holding her back just a little?
Not just a little. I just need the right amount. That's how I feel. It's terribly selfish about all the Chuck actors. Like I root for Zachary Levi.
Well, it's working for Zachary Levi because nobody knows where he is. So your little voodoo witchcraft on that poor guy.
I'm not rooting against
signing up for a Chuck movie.
I'm not rooting against their career. I'm rooting for their career to break in such a way that we all get a satisfying Chuck movie. Unlike Kristen Bell, who Becky and I talked about previously, who seems to constantly lead the pack back to Veronica Mars, which is awesome. This show for some reason hasn't been able to recoalesce despite everybody. Nobody asked for a Roseanne reboot, and I can't get a Chuck movie.
Exactly.
Explain to me.
How was that show get a nominee? Give me a break. It was on for 3 minutes. No,
Roseanne got nominated?
But it's Laurie Metcalf, so it's kind of people are like, she was in Lady Bird. Let's nominate her for this. People like her.
I guess. They were just like, don't you feel like sometimes with the word show, they're like, oh, she was nominated once, let's just nominate her.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, because that show does not, if it doesn't complete its season, I don't think it can count. Give me a break.
Well, it did technically complete its first run, but...
Oh, did it? I thought it was canceled.
No, it completed the first reboot run, which was only 9 episodes or 13 episodes, and then they renewed it for a second season, which was going to be full 22 episops, and then that's when.
Watch it then, when it was rebooted the first time, and I'm not going to watch it when it's rebooted the second time.
It is the worst thing ever.
No, it is no Fuller House, my friends. I'm just kidding. Oh, God. The show's terrible.
I I am the only one who, for some reason, really likes it. And believe me, it took me. This is one of those shows where I'm like, don't worry, just watch a good 10 episodes, and then you'll start to like it.
No, my 10-year-old self is so annoyed. My 10-year-old self is so annoyed because I feel like I would have loved for you to watch Full House with me when I was a kid.
I did watch Full House with you.
Not really.
Shar watched Full House with us as kids.
It was a family event on Friday nights.
Yeah, we watched it every Friday night.
But I feel like you failed on the Full House before Becky and I did.
Around 13 or 14 when I discovered music and girls, I was
Drifted away.
I would sort of reappear for Perfect Strangers, which was at 9, and whatever was in that rotating 10:30 spot until Step by Step got it.
Ugh. And then ruined TGIF for everyone.
That was the end of TGIF as we knew it. It would sort of Boy Meets World. Was Boy Meets World eventually on TGIF? I feel like it was, but when we were too old. Okay, so now last but not least on the Emmy docket, one pick per person of who you'd like to see or a show you'd like to see win next year.
Oh, wow.
Tatiana Maslany.
just
for being her.
It's just a humanitarian award for
yes. I'm sure she's doing something amazing right now.
Exactly.
That's a good question.
I'd like to see the chick that plays Kelly in Insecure win for like a supporting comedy role she's good. She is so funny. She's
I think
the funniest part of that show.
The girl that plays Villanelle on Killing Eve is excellent. There's no reason she shouldn't have been nominated for Best Supporting for drama. So, hands down, she should have been recognized.
Okay, cool. Ash, you got someone? Other than Wendi. I know we all agree Wendi should win all the Oscars.
I mean, this is a given. Sorry. The Goldbergs, like the entire cast, should be on there.
I sort of...
It's a Shonda.
In addition to the Goldbergs.
Right.
I would like to see Blackish win something.
Yeah.
Have they never won anything?
No. Tracy Ellis Ross won a Golden Globe, and that's all we've had.
She's my favorite on that show.
They're all just amazing.
And on Instagram.
Yeah. And on Instagram.
People are talking about, like, Anna Kendrick. To me, Tracy Ellis Ross is the only reason to have Instagram.
Oh, my God. But Jennifer Lewis as well. You have to follow her. She's so funny.
There we go.
Done and done.
Happening live.
Enjoy.
Live social media signups happening right here. So,
by the way, we cannot shout out to all these actors, Shy. Like, I'm trying to like write down notes as we're talking, but literally just it's all the actors.
We're not doing shout outs to the actors. We do.
No, but like you like to like then when we post the episode, like put people like that we've talked about's name in. I can't. Like I tried, I started, and there's no more room on the paper.
Well, we
just
did a TV episode. So I would just say I would like to see in honor of Brooklyn being saved. I think Andre Braugher still should get an Emmy.
Still searching for that Emmy, man.
He's so great in that show, and is such an original character, and it's like something I haven't seen before. And the duo of him and Andy Samberg it's just elevated by him. And I mean, Andy Samberg's great on that show, but Andre Braugher's just amazing. Like when he'll deadpan something that he's like happy, and you can't tell that he's happy. Just amazing. I love that. I love that character. Okay, all right. This is a very, very well-read group on television. So what are people watching? Becky, what are you watching?
Oh, I've been catching up on Insecure. I'm a couple seasons behind, so I've been watching season 2 the last couple weeks. And I will say what I like about the show is the banter and the outfits, and I think they made a smart choice by bringing in more Kelly and more Frida this year. I obviously identify probably most with Frida on the show. She's the only white character, but she's, if you watch it, she's got curly hair. It's been really, really fun watching it. I kind of realized overall, it's not that deep. I don't think it's not necessarily an amazing show, but I love the costumes and I do think it's very funny. So I enjoyed it. And I'm going to watch season 3. That's what I've been up to. Huh. Oh, wait. And, well, you know what? It's okay. We can skip over it. It's some Outlander stuff, but,
I'm talking to Lily about that.
I
Just don't you wait.
I'm going to go very quickly, and I'm going to end with Outlander, so I can segue into Lily talking about Outlander. I'm going to put a pin in Alf for Ash and I to talk about when we get to her turn. I started watching Riverdale season, like wherever I stopped watching Riverdale season 2, I picked up again. It's like eating candy and chewing it in your teeth. Lindsay, our dear friend of the show and just dear friend and amazing artist, aka Afros XII, she recommends Hilda, an animated show on Netflix to watch with the kids. So I take anything she recommends, so I'm going to check that out. I've been catching up on, of course, Take Two, starring Rachel Bilson, which is so lovable, and I dedicate my love of it to Lanz, who is the fellow gold nerd who I discovered we both are big Rachel Bilson fans. So that's for her. And then second to last, The Tunnel, recommended by Alana, our dear friend and listener, which is starring Stannis Baratheon from Game of Thrones, but as like a charming, funny guy.
Weird.
Yeah, but it's like one of these British serial killer shows. I really like it. If someone had told me
randomly like a perfect like dad who's like the most sensitive person I know loves a good British serial killer.
If someone told me that this was Broadchurch season 4, but just like they had different characters, I'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. I like it. It has the same effect on me. And then I finally finished, per our tradesies, Outlander season 1. And
the whole of season 1.
I finished season 1, so all 17 episodes, the hour and a half episodes.
13.
No, it's not 13.
No, they're like an hour long. It's gigantic, baby.
It's like 16 minutes, and they are an hour long, like without commercials. And I will say that at different points in watching this show, Lily in particular has warned me, oh, wait, just get to this episode. It will be amazing. Oh, just get to this episode. It will be amazing. And I have trusted her at every turn. And only at one time did the episode after one of those episodes did I actually like. And then the final 2 episodes of season 1 was basically a Game of Thrones gruesomeness level extended rape and torture scene.
The ending of season 1 is crazy.
I actually couldn't watch it. I skipped large chunks of the last episodes because it's too brutal.
I promised my sisters that I would watch this show, and I did. And I am confident that I am not sure what trade could ever be made with me to get me to watch it again. It was...
Really?
A Chuck movie.
It was.
The ending is so like.
It was just
you
like
get so wrapped up in it.
The guy gets branded and brutalized, and the most awful things done to him, and
most awful psychological torture imaginable.
And then with the like clone ancestor of her actual husband, and then they have like a chit chat, and then they're like on a boat, and everyone's happy, and all of the side characters.
No, I mean if you watch season 2, he's super.
He's not happy.
Yeah, so it was pretty much. Yeah, it was all of the. To be fair, these are things I have criticized about Game of Thrones, which is a show I do watch but kind of hate watch. So it was like all of the things I don't like, especially the last couple episodes, was all of the things I don't like about Game of Thrones without the game or the thrones. Wow. So that's what that will say. But I'll hand it over to my sisters. I respect the fact that you love this show, and I'm not going to yuck.
So Allie hated it, to say the least.
Oh no, Allie stopped watching it episodes ago. The only reason why I was able to get to the end was because I finished watching it on my own, and then when I told her what happened, she was like, "What is this? How could your sisters have said that?"
So good. Oh my god, I went down I did not start season 3 for a long time because season 2, the ending left me in a place where I was like, I can't, like I need a break because it's just like too much. And thank God I have my Outlander therapist, Becky, to like work through my feelings with about it, because she was like, I understand what you're feeling. It's okay. Don't worry. Like the whole next season 3 is not completely what you think it's going to be. And then I was like, oh, no, I just can't watch it. I just can't watch right now. And then finally I got a text from Becky being like, you got to, like, I'm pushing you to get through 3 because
Outlander is ending in November. You have to start watching.
Right. She's like, you have to catch up so we can watch together.
That's what we call in between seasons during the hiatus. We call it the Droughtlander.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so I start 3 and I was like, okay. And oh my God, 5 minutes in, I'm like, I can't believe I waited so long. And I can't stop. Like I have to it's like not okay. Like I can't stop watching. It's just insane. I love it. And the show is basically like most. Becky texted me and she was like, I was like, wait, this is also a storyline. How is this happening? And she's like, yeah, Shai mentioned that basically the show is just like the plot is who wants at any one given time to sleep with this guy, Jamie, of like anybody.
No matter what gender,
like,
species, time era,
matter.
Like there's like.
Who wants to have sex with Jamie at any one given time? And I read her back and I was like, yeah, I guess that is true because that's basically this new plot line now. A different guy wants to have sex with him. And then another girl wants to have sex with him. She blackmails him to have sex with him. I'm like, that's how bad she wants to have sex with this guy. And then I was like,
well,
yeah,
to be
but
fair,
like, tough but fair.
He's the only attractive man in all of 1500 Scotland because everybody
1700s, correct.
Everybody
and I was like, but this is a fair, like, this is a good storyline for the show. I'm like, I'm okay with that. It seems like it makes sense.
Now he's going to be in a movie that I want to see. I forget, so I'll.
What? He can't be anybody else. He's only
he's in the new that comedy movie with Mila Kunis.
Oh, he is?
Right?
Oh, that's cool.
Which one? The Spy Who Dumped Me?
No, yeah, she and Kate McKinnon, right? They've been doing like a ton of.
What's this?
He's in that movie.
That's amazing.
I mean, I don't know
if you guys have actors or actresses who you only want to ever believe is one person. Yeah, like I can't see them.
No, that's how I feel for Yvonne Strahovski. So
like, I can't even follow him on Instagram because I'm like, you're Jamie Fraser. This is weird.
Exactly.
Oh, he's going to be in Bloodshot, which is a comic book adaptation from the Valiant comic series, which were those comics I was really into in the 90s. So I'm excited to see him in that, with opposite Vin Diesel, who's playing Bloodshot.
If they call him Jamie and let him like run around and have people want to have sex with him, then I'm okay with that.
His name of his character in the movie is Corporal Harlan Solong Shiflet, or Shiflet, I don't know.
Jamie Alexander Malcolm McKenzie. Done.
Okay. Ash, what are you watching these days?
I started watching Kidding, which is Jim Carrey's new show on Showtime.
Oh, what do you tell us? Because none of us are going to watch that.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, but
I love Jim Carrey, so I was really excited.
Well, no, but
sure,
pitch
so
us
do
on
we.
it.
But
Go
we
for
decided as a group that we don't want to do sad Jim Carrey.
Yeah, like we want to see Ace Ventura, Jim Carrey. I get very sad when I see sad Jim Carrey.
But he's such a great actor.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's why I'm so glad you're watching it, so you can tell us.
Yeah. I mean, I want this show to do well again. You know, like Lily and Shai said, we love Jim Carrey. It just looks like a little too depressing. It'll make me anxious.
Well, I mean, do you guys know what it's about? Like, he plays this like child. Yeah, he's like a child presenter on a show, and one of his kids dies. It's a depressing sort of overtone, but like, it's not. I don't know. I will say it's like a bit of a dark comedy. And not in the same way that Atlanta is a dark comedy. You know, it actually has very funny elements to it.
So, in comparison to my favorite piece of art ever made about children's television, which is Death to Smoochie.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
That's a great one.
I love that movie, and I think my sisters, you both love it, too. And
I own it. That is a buy for me.
We're in the minority of humans on this. There's no question about that. How is it tonally between that and Death to Smoochie? Because Death to Smoochie is kind of this erratic parody.
Yeah, no, you guys don't even bother watching the Jim Carrey show. If you like the Death to Smoochie, don't bother. Just leave Jim Carrey to it.
Okay, cool. All right. Anyone else have any what we're watching, or we'll go to shoutouts and wrap up?
Does anybody else but me watch Ozarks? How is that possible?
I want to watch Ozarks.
I want to watch it, but
Ozarks?
No.
It's not up your alley, Ash?
I kind of just fell out with Jason Bateman.
Did you? Oh my God, that's serious. When did that happen?
I don't want to get after like the whole New York Times interview.
What did I miss something? What?
Oh, I do not want to crush worlds. Never mind.
What?
Well, right before Arrested Development, that last season that dropped like a few months ago, came out.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly.
And Jessica Walter started crying in the interview, and I felt really bad because she's so cute, and everyone stood up for Jeffrey Tambor, who is clearly a narcissist and a dickhead
person.
Yeah, just like a person you never want to deal with, and no one stuck up for her. And like Bateman defended him, and I was like, we're done here. So kind of just washed my hands of that situation.
I just would like to see Bateman playing more of his comedic characters, like the announcer in Dodgeball, or the brother in The Sweetest Thing, you know, as opposed to just keep playing like George Michael over and over and over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Or George Michael Bluth. Michael Bluth. Michael is. He had. Okay, cool. But Ozark, I really do want to see. It's one of these ones, like when I'm watching when I finish my next British crime show, it's almost like I feel like Ozark is like Bosch, where it's like a book, like a beach reading that I pick up. So I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to blaze through it, and I'm going to be like,
sure. I also, to me, it's like Breaking Bad meets Sons. There's like to me, it's like those two shows.
Is it as dark as those shows?
It can be as dark as Sons at times. There's one, yeah. Not as dark because Sons is dark like that all the time. But I would say there's like an event maybe in one season that you're like, holy, whoa, you know, it's not gory. You don't see it.
It doesn't necessarily stay there.
Exactly. It goes there for like a blip, doesn't stay there, and you don't see it.
Outlander does, Shy.
What?
See?
What does what?
The same way it goes dark. It goes like really dark.
Outlander.
Yeah, and Outlander does it at a glacial pace too. Like they don't leave anything out.
I will say that Ozark I don't think is slow. Which Breaking Bad was pretty slow. This is like kind of moves pretty steady. But yeah, there's very few shows I can watch with my husband, so this is one of them.
Fair.
Because like a lot of people have to like. There has to be some like zombie or serial killing. So it doesn't leave a lot of options. I make him watch the Goldbergs sometimes, which is very funny. He's like, I don't understand these Jews. What are they saying? That's all he says.
And then,
yeah.
Okay. So, all right. Shout outs. Beck, you got any shout outs this week?
I do. I want to shout out to my husband and my in-laws for helping me this morning to build a sukkah in our backyard. So just, thanks guys. Shout out to you for doing that.
For those not listening, sukkah is the traditional hut Jews build in their backyards to symbolize wandering in the desert for a holiday that is starting this evening. I have one in my backyard too that I built.
Mm-hmm. I do not have a backyard. So
we had.
I do not have one.
I want to just pile on my shout out to your husband and your in-laws because they're wonderful, as noted last week. Lil, how about you? Shout outs.
I'm going to shout out again to my friend Yudana, who I shouted out a few weeks ago, who really wants to listen to the podcast, but to my friends here, the language barrier is pretty rough. But she saw that you had tagged her and didn't know how to respond. And so I'm giving her another chance. Okay. I was like, you can respond. Just do it in Spanish. That's fine.
Just do the translate option on Instagram. She can at least see what the post was about. She doesn't have to listen to the whole episode.
So hopefully she'll send Pancake a note.
Okay,
this week.
That would be lovely of her. How about you, Ash? Any shout outs?
I'll just give you guys a shout out for inviting me on to like nerd out over here on this fun podcast.
Thank you.
All right. God, your perspective was
so good having you.
Bang Theory.
I have some shout outs as well. So I'm going to shout out to Nick from the UGO podcast, and his crew, because they did an amazing Predator episode. And Nick was who interviewed me on the Pod Against Evil last week, but they have their other podcast where they talk about all this awesome geeky stuff. And their Predator episode was the conversation, like as I was listening to it, I kept trying to get into, and I was sending him emails during it. And so if anyone wants a good Predator discussion, that episode of their show covers the whole thing. And then on the same subject of the Predator, Big Luke, who writes for 1428 Elm, wrote a terrific review that I agreed with 100%, but I still like the movie. And last but not least, a good friend of ours, Lily's, mine, and Becky, but you never know, he could show up at your house one day, Ash, and start a party.
Up at mine.
Yeah, he's showing
I hope so.
His name is Dani Disco, and Dani has started listening to the show and is sending me pictures referring to different things in different episodes, and we will definitely have to have his disco-ness on at some point on the program.
Epic.
He will be a lot of fun. And he comes from a group of like hilarious siblings. as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
and in the commercial media.
He was in
industry.
He was in from Justin to Kelly.
Justin, yeah, that's it. That should just be the only requisite he needs. He's in Justin for Kelly.
When he comes on, we're not going to talk about what he's directed. I want to know about all the things he was in, namely a detailed description of his experience on From Justin to Kelly, and the time code so everyone can see the exact moment of when you see his face.
It's worth it to have him on just for the meme, honestly.
But he's a dear friend. All right, Beck.
Wait, before we...
sorry, go ahead.
Wait, before we hang... Can I have 10 seconds of Ash trashing Big Bang Theory? 15 seconds on the clock. Go.
Okay. Charlie Sheen is absolutely crazy, but he was right when he said Chuck Lorre was the Antichrist of television. Anything that guy does, writes, produces, is the worst thing that has ever happened to the industry. He is why that people are stupid, and CBS should just die now. It should just, Les Moonves has been booted out for sexual harassment, and I think the whole network should just die with him. That is...
Oh, you used that your time. Well,
that was a good recap. I am impressed. It's like your elevator pitch rant.
Not that I needed convincing, because that show is the worst, and
it really is.
It infuriates me that it was nominated and won for so many years in a row.
To tie it back to the Emmys and the laziness, that's what I was referring to, is a show like Big Bang Theory or Modern Family just winning for 2 decades straight, and you're like, what? People even still watch these anymore?
No. Thankfully, Big Bang Theory is ending.
Does it not make you so angered that Brooklyn Nine-Nine gets canceled and then it has to be repicked up by another network, and there's all this drama? Even the Mindy Project, what happened to them? Which is a bad show. But yet the only reason Big Bang Theory is ending is because what's-his-face just doesn't feel like doing it anymore. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, they're not renewing it. It's over after 1,700 seasons because Sheldon, whatever his name is, I'm sure he's a nice guy in real life. Whatever his name is, Parsons, Jim Parsons.
Jim Parsons.
Yeah, everybody else on the cast, because they have nothing to do, they all would, they're fine doing it again, but he was the one that I was like, I will not renew.
Don't worry. It's going to be announced in 2 months or something, and they're doing a side spin-off of the Big Bang Theory, where it's all the side characters.
Can we just get a Blossom reboot then? Because that's really what I want to go back to the Blossom universe.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Does anyone know where Joey Lawrence is? Is he bankrupt?
I don't know where Joey Lawrence is.
I don't know, but I need to know what his hair situation is. I'm glad you bring it up. If anybody has a chance, take a look on Google Images.
I'm doing it now. Is it terrible?
Is it hair plugs? Why does his shaved head have such a very distinct hairline? Becky, look it up right now.
Yeah, I'm concerned with the one picture that I see, his eyes look like he's had a lot of work.
He's very tan.
Well, I will say that the guy who played the older brother...
He's looking in a tanning bed right now.
The guy who played the older brother on Blossom... played a evil junkie on Kingdom and murdered one of the key characters in Cold Blood.
What was the younger Lawrence brother on? What show was he on?
He wasn't on. He was in Mrs. Doubtfire.
No, and wasn't he on Boy Meets World also? One of the Lawrence brothers.
Was he on Boy Meets World?
At one point, I feel like they brought
not the original iteration of the show.
No, but at some point, they were
one of them. Left and he joined, didn't Ryder Strong or something leave the show, and then one of the Lawrence kids popped on.
Oh, that seems likely.
That seems like so. And then at one point, all of the Lawrence brothers were on a show where they just were brothers.
Is it called the Lawrence Brothers?
It's something like that.
Oh yes, they did have a show. They had a show with the brothers, and I feel like they were mechanics or something.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were.
What was it called?
The Lawrence Brothers. Oh,
I'm sure it was something tacky like that. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Brotherly love. Brotherly love?
I was gonna say like Sister or any of the other WB type shows that have the names that in case you were confused what the show is about.
It was Brotherly Love. Who came up? Becky, do you remember the mechanic thing on your own?
Yeah, I did. It's the only detail of the show I remember. But I feel like we should do a whole segment on shows we vaguely remember, and we're just trying to put pieces together without Google.
That is so good.
For sure. But you do agree there's something weird with his hair, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's something weird with his whole face as well.
Right.
Yeah, that whole situation is just
work
weird.
has been done.
Oh, definitely.
All right. Okay. Fine. Now we can say where people
Oh
can
no,
follow us.
that was worth it, Lil. That was worth it.
Thank you.
Okay, Becky, where can people follow you?
Paper BK Princess on Twitter. That's my handle.
Cool. And Lil?
Chi K Gomez on Twitter is my handle.
At?
Am I supposed to say at?
At? I know. I think Chi K Gomez.
It's implied.
Twitter. Yeah, it's implied.
Yeah, it's implied. It's Twitter. I'm comedy_girl. That is my handle.
Do you want to all plug the future of the Goldnerds world, or encourage the new season starting this week?
Yeah, if anybody wants to follow us, we are. Well, you should be doing this part, Shy, because you're part of the Goldnerds.
All right, I'll do that as part of mine. Okay, so you can follow me at Pancake for a Table on Twitter and Instagram. And as I mentioned last week, I am proud to have been inducted by Ash, as she is the leader of the Goldbergs, Goldnerds, along with Lanz, as part of the crew that is going to be doing the social media bit and even podcasting, right? And and even podcasting about the Goldbergs on a weekly basis. And I have some fun animations in the works for this season, so I'm excited about that and honored to be a part of it. If you want to listen to Ash and my other podcast, it's called Behind the Music, where we watch all of the behind the music episodes and review them one by one. We're working our way through them. And otherwise, go to FridayNightMoviePod.com, rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher or any of the places you listen to podcasts. Friday Night Movie and Pancake for a Table will be at the All-Star Comic-Con in the Sheraton Tyson's Corner in June 2019. Believe it or not too early to get your tickets. You can get tickets already. We are planning fun things for that, and hopefully at least one of, maybe both of my sisters will be there.
That's the plan.
That is the plan. And let's see, the music's gonna kick in, and you got to dance in your chair, Ash. That's a big thing.
Okay.
You got to dance in your chair. Becky and Lily are dancing.
Yep,
ready dancing.
I am.
What does it eat?
Dancing my face off.
And
I'm very carefully dancing.
Be careful.
Your head.
Yeah, so
I'm actually not bobbing at all, just finger motions. That's it.
And thanks everybody for doing this. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Love you.
My brain's not functioning so well, which you'll get in my opening story. So I don't know how ranty I'll be this week.
So,
did you end up going to the hospital?
No, I never went to the doctor.
Becky might be concussed.
Oh no!